Hello again, my nomies, and thanks for joining me once more here on the MT and Me. Let me tell you right up front that I don't have a program for you this week because it has not been a very good week. For one thing, it's rained all week, which I probably could have worked around, but I didn't because of the other reason. And that is, I lost my oldest and best friend ever this week. And I've been coming to grips with that, so I didn't get anything done. Not on Pearl, not on the Equinox, not around the house. I just kind of blindly went through my job every day. Good thing I had it because it really helped me to stay busy and to cope with things. This friend of mine, I want to talk about him for a moment. His name was Bob Wood. He was my oldest and very dearest friend. In every sense of the word, my brother from a different mother. This is a man that I don't remember not knowing. He had been a part of my life from the very beginning. We grew up living across the alley from one another, so we were together all the time in my backyard or his backyard or somewhere in between. He was my very first friend, and I can truly say he was a friend for my entire life. This is a man who was always there, always a part of whatever was going on. We had the same interest. We loved to do the same things. We were both kind of electronic nuts when we were kids. We were NASA nuts. I still am. He was too. We grew up during the space age, so during the 60s when all the astronauts were going to space and man finally set foot on the moon, which we just celebrated the anniversary of here a few weeks ago. So yeah, we were on top of all that stuff together. We also had an interest in electronics, in radio. In fact, I dare say he had at least something to do with me getting interested in radio, which of course is my lifetime career. We used to listen to stations together all the time, listen to the jocks, pretend we were them. And each of us set up our own little personal radio stations in our houses. And he was the first guy to really explain to me how radio worked, the technical side, how, running the board and all the equipment and the turntables and the cart machines and all the stuff that we used to use. Now it's me and a computer, but that's another story. Back in the old days, there was a little more to it. And I really learned those basics from him. So I can thank him for giving me, or sparking, or encouraging, I guess, my lifelong interest, my career that I am still in to this very day. And he has always been an avid supporter of me in my work, whatever I was doing. He did a lot of different things in life. He worked in the cable TV industry for a long time. He did several industrial jobs. He was a storm chaser. Kind of exciting, but he did that. And through most all of his adult life, he was a very avid amateur radio operator. He always had a presence. Since he wasn't on commercial radio like me, he was on amateur radio, ham radio, and had indulged in that hobby for years and years of his life. He'd had health issues in the past 10 years or so, maybe a little longer, and those eventually caught up with him last week, and he suffered a stroke and passed away on the over the weekend. Kind of sudden. I mean, sudden in that I didn't know about it. Bob was the kind of guy, I think he'd been in the hospital several weeks and didn't want to tell anybody, so I had no idea. You know, he was just that kind of guy. Didn't ever want to worry anyone. Didn't want anyone to fuss over him. We had one of those relationships where we could go a year or more, never talk, never see each other, never communicate in any way. And then one day one of us would pick up the phone and call the other, and it was just like we had seen each other last week. You know, like I said, no matter how much time was between us, how much distance was between us, we were never really far apart. And I've had problems this week coping with the fact that I won't get to talk to him again now. I won't see him again. The last time we actually saw each other was 7 years ago this month, as a matter of fact. I visited him at his home in Central Texas. Bob used to show up in my driveway out of the blue. I'd wake up and our whole household would wake up and we'd find him sitting in the driveway napping in his truck. He had gotten a wild hair from wherever he had to be, at Georgia, Indianapolis, Texas, wherever he was living at the time. Oklahoma, he lived there a while too. He'd get a wild hair and just say, I'm going to go see Russ. Middle of the night, drive all the way to my house, and rather than let us know anything or wake us up, he'd just be in our driveway. There he was. He loved to surprise. He did it to other people too. He did it to his whole family and and other friends as well. So he just liked that element of surprise. Well, 7 years ago when I went to visit him, I kind of got my revenge for that. I went out there a day earlier than he was expecting, and that evening, after we got settled in a motel, I called him and said, da-da-da-da, you know, like that. Just leading on like, you know, we were getting ready to go or just getting started or something like that. And I'm looking forward to seeing him and visiting and all that. And finally, I didn't fool him for long. Okay. It's pretty sharp cookie. So he caught on quick and finally said, where are you? I'm in the Best Western up on the highway, about a mile from you. So he said, I'll be there in a minute. And then he showed up and we got to visit. And we had spent the whole next day tomorrow. But I have to admit, it felt really good to finally, at least a little bit, pull one over on him after all those mornings finding him in my driveway unexpectedly. So, you know, one of life's small, pleasant memories that I will always treasure. I have a lot of memories with him. Like I said, this man was my lifelong friend. And there are a few people I've been as close to through my entire life. He was more family than some members of my family. So yeah, I am feeling a great loss. And because of that, I'm sorry I didn't do anything this week. But I wanted to share this with you and share a few memories. There's no way I can tell you so much about this except that he was a big fella. He was, well, first of all, he was 2 years older than me, but that never made a difference. He was much taller and much bigger than me. That never made a difference either, except when we were wrestling, I guess. And his heart was much bigger than the man. He was one of the most pleasant, friendly, easygoing, generous people, generous to a fault, that I have ever known. And he set a wonderful example with his kindness and his wholehearted caring about others. Not just me, but everyone. Everyone. Bob Wood was a wonderful person, a good man, a kind and generous man. He was my friend. He was my brother. And I mourn his loss. I will miss him. And I just wanted to share that with you this week here on the MT and Me. So thank you. Thank you for listening, for letting me pour my heart out a bit to you. Because you people, my nomies, you're my friends too. And I hope your life is going well. I know you will have to experience sadness like this at times, if you haven't already. Maybe you are now too. And I'm sorry for that. But it is life. And we're all stuck here till the end. What's the old saying? Nobody gets out of here alive. So let's live until our time is up. Be kind. Be generous. Hug the people you love. Thank you, Nomies, for listening to me. Till next time, I'm Russ. We'll talk later.